In southern New Jersey, there is a forest that does not feel like the rest of the state. It is not the turnpike. It is not the shore. It is not the glow of casinos or the crowded roads that seem to run forever. It is quiet. It is sandy. It is full of pines, cedar swamps, old trails, abandoned places, and water stained dark by the land itself. At night, the Pine Barrens can feel much older than the towns around it. The trees close in. The road narrows. The headlights find only a few yards of sand and brush before the darkness takes over again. And somewhere inside that darkness, people have said, something screams. The sound is not supposed to be human. It is not supposed to belong to any ordinary animal. In the stories, it rises out of the woods like a warning, sharp enough to stop a traveler in place. Then come the wings, the hooves, the long tail, the impossible shape moving between the trees. For generations, people in South Jersey have told stories about a creature that lives in the Pine Barrens. Some say it looks like a horse twisted into the body of a bat. Some say it has the legs of a kangaroo, the wings of a demon, and the head of something that never should have been born. Its name is the Jersey Devil. But before it became a mascot, a roadside legend, a hockey logo, or a story told to scare children, it was something darker. It was a family curse. It was a rumor. It was a political insult. It was a newspaper panic. And maybe, for some people who swore they saw it, it was something real. Tonight we go into the Pine Barrens, back to the story of Mother Leeds, the 13th child, the hoof prints in the snow, and the week when an entire region seemed to believe the devil had come out of the woods. This is the story of the Jersey Devil. Welcome to Legends and Lore, where reality and the unexplained collide. To understand the Jersey Devil, you have to begin with the Pine Barrens. The name sounds empty, but the place is not empty at all. It stretches across a large part of southern New Jersey, a landscape of pine forest, wetlands, sandy roads, cedar water, hidden settlements, and strange local names that seem made for folklore. The Pine Barrens has always been easy to misunderstand. To outsiders, it could look poor, isolated, and wild. To people who lived there, it was home. It was a place of iron furnaces, glassworks, farms, small communities, back roads, and stories that traveled faster than proof. That matters because legends do not grow in a vacuum. They need a place to hide. The Jersey Devil had one. The most famous version of the origin begins with a woman usually called Mother Leeds or Mrs. Leeds. In many tellings, she lived near Leeds Point, close to the edge of the Pine Barrens. She was poor, she was tired. She already had 12 children. Then she discovered she was pregnant again. The 13th child. In the story, she was overwhelmed. Maybe she was angry. Maybe she was desperate. Maybe the words came from exhaustion more than evil. But the legend says she cried out that the child should be the devil, and on a stormy night that curse came due. The baby was born like any other child, depending on the version. For one terrible moment, maybe the room felt normal. A mother, a child, a family gathered in candlelight while thunder moved over the pines. Then the child changed. Its body stretched. Its head became long and animal-like. Wings tore from its shoulders. Its hands became claws. Hooves struck the floor. A tail lashed behind it. The thing screamed. Then it flew up the chimney, or through the window, or out into the storm, depending on who tells the story. And from there it vanished into the Pine Barrens. That is the legend most people know. A cursed birth, a 13th child, a monster escaping into the woods. But folklore has a way of wearing many faces. Some versions say Mrs. Leeds was a witch. Some say the child's father was the devil. Some say a clergyman cursed her. Some say the child was born with a deformity, and that fear, superstition, and cruelty turned a human tragedy into a monster story. Other versions point to the Leeds family itself. The name Leeds was real. The region did have a Leeds family. Daniel Leeds was a colonial figure connected to almanacs, astrology, religious conflict, and political arguments. Over time, the words Leeds devil may have been used not as a creature at first, but as an insult, a way to mark a family as strange, dangerous, or outside the accepted order. That possibility changes the story. Maybe the Jersey Devil was not born in a single room during a storm. Maybe it was born in gossip. Maybe it was born in religious conflict. Maybe it was born from a family name that became attached to something monstrous. But if that is true, it only makes the legend more interesting, because at some point the insult grew legs, then wings, then hooves. Then it entered the trees. By the 1800s, stories of the creature had spread. People claimed to hear it. Farmers blamed it for dead animals. Travelers said something crossed the road ahead of them. Hunters told stories about shapes that moved through the pines too quickly to identify. The Jersey Devil became the kind of legend people could use to explain almost anything strange. A scream in the woods, tracks in the mud, missing livestock, a shadow over the road, an animal nobody got a good look at. And that is how regional folklore survives. It does not need one perfect sighting. It needs 1,000 almost sightings. 1,000 moments when someone says, I do not know what that was. But the story might have remained only a local legend if not for January of 1909. That was when the Jersey Devil escaped the Pine Barrens in a different way. It entered the newspapers. The week began with hoof prints. People reported strange tracks in the snow across South Jersey. They appeared in yards, on rooftops, near homes, and along paths where no ordinary animal seemed likely to travel. Some said the prints crossed fences. Some said they appeared in places that made no sense. Newspapers picked up the reports. Then the reports multiplied. Soon the creature was being seen not only in the Pine Barrens, but across South Jersey and even near Philadelphia. It was described as winged, four-legged but able to stand on two, horse-headed, kangaroo-like, bat-like, a thing assembled from fear and newspaper ink. And people were scared. Schools were said to close. Workers were said to stay home. Police and hunters searched. People formed posses. The story crossed the Delaware River and spread through the region like a fever. For a few days, it seemed as if everyone had heard something, seen something, or knew someone who had. This is one of the most important parts of the Jersey Devil story, because it shows how a legend can become an event. Before 1909, the Jersey Devil was folklore. During that panic, it became news. And news can make fear feel official. If one person sees a monster, people doubt them. If a newspaper prints the monster on the front page, people look out the window. If another town reports tracks, and then another, the question changes. It is no longer, do I believe this? It becomes, what if it comes here? The 1909 panic also shows another side of the legend, the hoax. One Philadelphia newspaper later connected the frenzy to a publicity stunt involving a supposed captured creature displayed at a dime museum. The creature was described in bizarre terms, and crowds reportedly came to see it. The whole episode blurred rumor, entertainment, journalism, and fear until it became hard to tell where one ended and the other began. That does not mean every person who reported something was lying. It means the Jersey Devil had become useful. It could sell papers. It could draw crowds. It could frighten towns. It could explain tracks in snow and noises in the dark. It could become whatever people needed it to be. And that is why the Jersey Devil is such a powerful legend. It is not only a monster story, it is a story about how communities create monsters, feed them, fear them, and then keep them alive. So what did people actually see? The simplest answer is misidentified animal. The Pine Barrens is home to wildlife. Owls, cranes, deer, foxes, dogs, and other animals can become strange when seen quickly at night or in bad weather. A large bird taking off in darkness can look much bigger than it is. A fox scream can sound almost human. A deer crashing through brush can become a charging thing in the mind before the eyes have time to understand it. The sand and snow can also trick people. Tracks melt. Tracks distort. Tracks overlap. A normal animal can leave strange marks when the ground is uneven or when snow begins to collapse around the print. And yet, practical explanations do not erase folklore. They only explain pieces of it. Because the Jersey Devil is not remembered as one owl, one crane, one dog, or one prank, it is remembered as a pattern. A creature born from a curse, a thing in the pines, a scream at night, a week of hoofprints, a monster with the power to make ordinary people lock their doors. There is also the human explanation. Maybe the Jersey Devil became a way to talk about people who live differently. The Pine Barrens were often stereotyped by outsiders. The people there were sometimes treated as strange or backward. The Jersey Devil may have given outside communities a way to turn a misunderstood place into a haunted place. In that version, the monster is not only in the woods. It is in the way outsiders talk about the woods. But folklore does not belong only to outsiders. South Jersey claimed the creature too. Over time, the Jersey Devil became part of local identity. It was frightening, yes, but also familiar. A legend people could argue about, laugh about, sell, celebrate, fear, and pass down. It became one of America's most famous regional monsters because it belonged so completely to one place. That place still matters. If you take the Jersey Devil out of the Pine Barrens, it becomes just another creature with wings. Put it back among the pines, the cedar water, the sandy roads, and the old ruins, and it becomes something else. It becomes a warning that the modern world is thinner than it looks. Drive far enough from the highway, and the story begins to make sense. Not because you suddenly believe a cursed child is flying through the trees, but because the darkness gives the legend room to breathe. Imagine the old version, a storm over Leeds Point, a crowded room, a tired mother, the 13th child, the words spoken in anger, then the scream, the shape rising from the cradle, the wings unfolding, the family scattering, the creature bursting into the night and disappearing toward the pines. It is not hard to understand why that story survives. It has everything folklore needs. A curse, a number with power, a remote landscape, a creature that cannot be categorized, a family name, a warning, and most importantly, it has an escape. The monster does not die at the end of the origin story. It gets away. That means every later sound can be connected to it. Every track can belong to it. Every witness can become part of the same unfinished story. The Jersey Devil survives because the story never closes. There is no final hunt like the Beast of Gévaudan. No confirmed body, no single photograph that settles the matter, no one moment where the legend ends. Instead, the creature keeps returning whenever the conditions are right. Snow on the ground, a strange print near the house, a scream in the trees, a driver on an empty road, a child hearing the story for the first time. And maybe that is the real secret of the Jersey Devil. It is not the scariest monster because it is the most believable. It is scary because it is adaptable. It can be a demon, a deformed child, a family curse, a political smear, a misidentified animal, a newspaper hoax, a local mascot, or a real cryptid depending on who is telling the story. Most legends weaken when they have too many explanations. The Jersey Devil gets stronger because each explanation gives it another way to survive. If the creature was never real, then the panic was real. If the panic was exaggerated, then the folklore was real. If the folklore came from a family insult, then the damage to a name was real. If the sightings were mistaken, then the fear people felt was real. And if even one witness saw something they could not explain, then the Pine Barrens still have a secret. That is why, after all these years, the Jersey Devil still belongs to the dark. Not because it proves monsters exist, but because it proves that some stories know exactly where to hide. In the pines, in the snow, in the space between a sound and an explanation. In the moment when headlights catch something at the edge of the road, and your mind has to decide what it saw before the darkness takes it back. Maybe the Jersey Devil was born in a storm. Maybe it was born in a newspaper office. Maybe it was born from a family name, a local fear, or a scream nobody could identify. But whatever created it, the result was one of America's oldest and most enduring monsters. The Jersey Devil does not need to prove itself anymore. It only needs the Pine Barrens. And as long as those roads keep running through the dark, someone will always wonder what is moving just beyond the trees. I'm David, and this has been Legends and Lore. Tell me what you think. Is the Jersey Devil a real cryptid, a misidentified animal, a newspaper-made panic, or just one of the greatest pieces of American folklore? Until next time, keep your lantern lit, and if you hear wings over the pines, do not look up for too long.